I want to get right to it. We have such a guest, special guest. He has become very, very close to me in a very short period of time. I regard him already like a son. Alec Ingold currently is an all-pro fullback with the Miami Dolphins. For those of you who are Florida, I hope that makes you happy. Alec is as elite an athlete as he is. He's even a better leader than he is a football player. And he's even a better person than he is as a leader. He went to Bayport High School in the area where my kids have all gone. He has a tremendous life story. He is 27 or 28? 27 going on 45 in terms of his life experiences. We see a great future for Alex. His beautiful wife, Alexa, is with him. They drove 3 days from Florida to get here in time to speak. So they're all in. And would you welcome Alec Ingold to the stage?
Appreciate the intro.
Go get it, brother.
All right, sounds good. All right, so I'm not going to introduce myself. I just want to play a quick video, set the tone. We all have full bellies. Everyone had lunch. The video is going to do a whole heck of a lot better than an intro I can give, so we'll just dial in right now if I figure out how to play this. I'm just getting the sound. I don't know. There we go. Here we go. Somebody's helping me out there. Appreciate it. All right, technical difficulties. Are we still going to play the video, or you just want me to roll? You guys good? You got it? All right. Adversity is an opportunity. That's the first lesson. All right. Educating you guys on.
Throws it to Ingold, 10, 5, dives for the end zone, touchdown Miami!
On field, I think he's exactly what you want in a football player. He's a guy that's prepared. He's got a tremendous work ethic. He gives you everything he has, every play, and he's the kind of teammate that you want. He's the kind of person you want in your organization because he's going to make everybody around him better.
That award being nominated, it's really meaningful because it's excellence on and off the field. And it's recognition of being a heck of a football player and being a heck of a human being.
He does have a very similar mindset on how he approaches football with also how he approaches life too.
Some of you guys are in foster care, been adopted just like me.
He does a lot of work with communities in Miami, big emphasis on kids who are going through the foster system through adoption, works with financial literacy, puts on a lot of football camps.
Who you are matters so much more in life than what you do.
He just makes you feel like the most important person in the room. I genuinely think that Alec just cares and wants the world to be a better place.
You know, Alec does so much for the community, and the heart that he puts into the events that he puts on is such a big part of his purpose and who he is.
To be able to give your heart, your testimony, your story, and hopefully inspire other people to go out and write their own stories and empower them to be able to go through whatever they need to go through to see it on the other side, and something I'm really grateful for.
Rolling. I'm rolling.
Basically, we'll just have you watch this quick video. So if you just want to hit play.
Hi Alec, congratulations. You are the Miami Dolphins nominee for the 2023 Walter Payton Man of the Year Award.
I love that he connects with people and he continues to rise to every occasion.
I hope that this kind of validates and shows you that other people appreciate how hard you work and all of the great things that you do.
Just cannot wait to see what else is in store for you.
It is truly incredible what you have done for your friends, family, and your community. I've looked up to you ever since I was a little girl, and I truly don't think that I would be where I am today without you.
You continue to amaze us. Proud of you.
Y'all can't give me a video of my dad crying like that at the end. Oh man, y'all got me good. I appreciate you guys.
How does it make you feel?
That's a beautiful video. I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. It's a great surprise. Whenever you see your family like speak those words, or the people that you work with every single day, I don't know, man, it makes your heart really happy. So I appreciate you guys for putting this together.
All right, let's go. And the slide works at the end, that's great. So I put up that video there. So the Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination is the most prestigious award in the NFL. One man wins it. It's excellence on and off the field. And the reason that I put that video up there is because, man, I just always would visualize being at the mountaintop, being at the peak. And that nomination is basically saying from the Dolphins, this is our guy. We're nominating you for this position. You're going to go up against 31 other men that are doing what they do on and off the field in that prestigious, you're doing everything the right way. And the title of this talk today and what we're going to talk about is being the best you. Be the best version of yourself. And growing up, I was always like that result, that reward, that recognition. And I'm here to say that's not what it's all about. That award, that recognition, the nomination, yeah, it's cool, and it validates a whole heck of a lot of work, but it's not who I am. It's not what I do. It's not how I do it. So I just wanted to tone set that real quick with everybody in this building. Like the goals, the accolades, the accomplishments, the intro, the Wikipedia page, it doesn't matter. What matters is the type of human being you are, the way you shake other people's hands, the way you lead authentically and vulnerably your teams, your communities. That's what it's all about. I have 3 huge takeaways that I want everybody to talk through, and I know it's after lunch, so I'm going to do a lot of entertaining storytelling, and I'm not going to educate you guys for an hour. But I do want 3 things out of everybody to be able to write down, to take with you, and if I do that today, I feel like that's been a successful day. And it's all about how to be the best version of yourself. But it starts with a little story of myself, a watch, and my dad. So I grew up at Bayport High School, just like Dr. Fred said, Suamico, Wisconsin, right down the street. And anybody that's been up here in November, they know how dicey it gets, the weather, right? It gets pretty cold. You got the snow, you got 40 degrees, it's freezing out. I was one of those kids that always played with my friends down the street, always played football, and I was never home on time. Like, my dad would be like, Alec, we have dinner at 6 p.m. I'm going to buy you this watch. And now this watch, listen, the little small arrow, like all the way down, that's 6. And then the tall one is all the way up. You need to be home at 6 o'clock. For one time in your life, stop playing the game, get home for dinner while it's still hot. I'm like, okay, Dad, I got it. I'll figure it out. I got this watch, but I'm going to go play some football. I'm down the street, late November. I might be 10 years old at this time, and we're having the time of our lives. We're playing, my best friend's out there. We're going back and forth with the kids from right down the street. And it's getting competitive. It's getting heated. I checked that watch. It's 5:45. We're down 2 scores. I'm like, okay, this is basically the 4th quarter. We need a massive comeback. Let's dial in, buddy. Let's go. Come on, Brady. Let's go. Let's play some ball. I end up hitting him for a touchdown over the shoulder. We're down to 1 score. I get an interception. We pick 6. It's a tie game. I check my watch, and it's 6 o'clock. So now I'm put into a circumstance. I have a decision to make. Do I book it? I'm already late. I'm not going to make it by 6. But do I book it up the hill trying to get home, or do I finish this game? 10-year-old Alec was like, let's play to win. Like, it's overtime at this point. We end up scoring that last touchdown. We win, and I take off up the hill. It's 6:15. I'm running as fast as I can in November in Wisconsin, in Green Bay, and my lungs are burning. My legs are jello. I'm trying to sprint up this hill as fast as I can, make it home so that that problem that's waiting for me inside that door at dinner time isn't going to be that bad. And I turn the corner. As soon as I get up that hill, I'm out of breath. My legs are on fire, and I see my dad at the front door, just waiting for me. He knew it was going to happen. He got me. I walk up to that front door, tail between my legs, and I'm worried about what the heck's about to happen to me. He says, son, do you want to go play catch in the front yard? I was like, what do you mean you want to? Like, yes. Like, I thought I was about to get yelled at. I thought I was going to be late for dinner. What's going on? Like, yeah, I'll play catch. We were just playing catch over there. My dad and I are throwing the ball in the front yard, just losing track of time, having the best time of my life. I'm excited. I think I got away with one. I'm excited. Like, this is the life. And then there was a moment where we're playing catch, and I could kind of feel this energy. Like, something was happening. Something was up. And I couldn't really figure out. I couldn't put my finger on it. I said, Dad, what's going on? I think it's like over behind me a little bit. Like, I don't know exactly what's going on. He said, come here, son. He puts me on the top of his shoulders. You know, if I get really quiet, and he reached up as high as he possibly could, we'd look over the tree line, and there were stadium lights. He said, son, that's the high school football team. They're playing a playoff game right down the street, 2 miles away. He said, those sounds that you're hearing, that energy you're feeling, it turned into shoulder pads cracking. It turned into fans cheering. It turned into passes, catches, touchdowns. And as a 10-year-old kid, I felt that energy from a couple miles away. And in that moment, I fell in love with the game of football. That was the moment where I knew I wanted to play football for as long as I possibly could. I loved everything about it. The more I learned, the more I loved it. I wanted to go all in with this thing. I wanted to make it a living. I wanted to change my life with it. I wanted to change other people's lives with it. I want to be in those teams. I want to be in those huddles. In the fourth quarter, I can't feel my elbow. It's 2 degrees outside, and we're going to dig deep. We're going to gut it out, and we're going to do it together. I wanted it. I wanted all of it. I loved the hard stuff. I loved the easy stuff. I loved the wins, the losses, the lessons. It was all a game, and I loved it. So as I'm growing up, I would go all in with this process, and I could always remember that one moment where I fell in love with the game. I go to Bayport High School. I end up playing at that same stadium that my dad taught me how to love the game of football there. I got to watch Packer players at the grocery store at Festival Foods on the weekends. Like, it was all about this game and how much I just wanted to do everything I possibly could to play it as long as possible. I get a last-second scholarship offer to the University of Wisconsin, State Player of the Year. A lot of those accolades start adding up. Start loving the pats on the back, get that scholarship. You're about to change your life, son. You got an opportunity. I end up getting to start as a running back, as a true freshman at the University of Wisconsin. Unheard of. Like, I'm thinking Monte Ball, Melvin Gordon, James White, all those guys, right? Well, that's not exactly how it ended up happening. I put on a little bit of weight here, and they're like, hey, Alec, put your hand in the dirt, be in front of Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be like the all-world running back, and why don't you block for him? So, all right, coach, I don't care. I love it. I'm all in. I will do whatever it takes to be on the field, to play this game. I love it. I love everything about it. The willingness to change. I trust you, coach. I'm willing to go in and do whatever it takes. I switched to fullback. I'm splitting time as a sophomore. And then my junior year, I get benched for the first time. It's the first time in my life I've ever had real adversity, real hardship when it comes to athletics. And in that moment was the first lesson of being the best version of myself that I truly learned and what I want to share with you all today. Right? As I'm progressing and climbing up this mountain, I can see this vision. Right? I can see myself being the best version of myself. It's in that huddle. It's infectious. I can see it. I can feel it. I can breathe it. I can believe it. But at some point, things got hard. At some point, there's a position battle. At some point, a decision was made that is out of my control, and I am no longer in control. I'm no longer on the field. I'm no longer doing what I love to do. It's not what happens to you in life. It's how you respond to it. And my initial knee-jerk reaction as a 20-year-old kid at this University of Wisconsin, I pointed every single finger I could. Coach doesn't like me. He's just playing the senior. That one rep, I don't really think that's true. TJ Watt, he just kind of like ran around the edge. I don't think he really makes that play. Yeah, he probably does. He probably does. But I was pointing fingers. I wasn't willing to be accountable. I wasn't willing to be taking that full ownership of all the wins and all the losses. And as I am diving into this rabbit hole of living from this outside in, this rat race of trying to blame everybody else, I stopped going to class. I stopped answering phone calls. All I could think of was football. I'm going to throw myself into this space and do everything I possibly can for as long as possible until I figure this out. that wasn't the answer. I ended up sitting down with the FCA director. I'm a believer in Christ. He saved my life. And in this moment at FCA, he takes me aside. This man's name is Steve. He said, Alec, if you were to be the starting fullback right now, would you be ready? I said, yeah, Steve, I'd be ready. I've been practicing. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm going to make it to the NFL one day. This is the thing. This is the dream. I can do this. He said, okay, that was great. And I held up a mirror. He said, tell that to yourself. And I had to look at myself in the eyes and say that I was ready to be the starter. I made eye contact with myself, and I knew immediately I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for that accountability. I wasn't ready for the responsibility. I wasn't doing and preparing the way that I needed to be the best version of myself. So when Steve held that mirror up and had me look at myself, that was the first moment where I was like, man, I need to start living from the inside out, not the outside in. I need to start adding these values to life. I need to start making good decisions. I need to start going to class. I need to start remembering that little kid at 10 years old who fell in love with the game of football again. I needed to internalize that journey rather than pointing fingers and making excuses. So I took that mirror and I took that life lesson from Steve. And by the end, before we stood up after that meeting, he told me, I love you. This is a guy I've met twice, 3 times, telling a guy that is a football player that probably, I'm thinking that he wants something from me. I'm kind of standoffish. He says, I love you. I don't care how many stats you put up. I don't care what the game situation is. I know your heart. I know where you're at. I love you. I care for you. I'll always be here for you. That's big. That's powerful. That's a leader. The vulnerableness of being able to be authentic, to trust somebody, to give without that intent to receive. And I didn't really understand why it hit me so deeply. Like, why does this mirror, and why is this man saying that he loves me, even though he's a stranger, he doesn't look like me, he doesn't talk like me? Why does it matter so much? So I started digging inside, figuring out how I can go inside out and solve these problems. And I realized that I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of falling short. Why? Because I'm adopted. There's a guy who looks like me, talks like me, that I've never met before, that walked out on me and told me I was too big of a liability. I was too big of a problem. I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth the struggle. I wasn't worth that chase. Man, that ate me up. Made me realize I am afraid of mirrors. I don't like looking at myself. I don't know visually what I'm supposed to look like when I'm 45 years old. I haven't seen it. I am afraid of falling short and failing. I'm not willing to do everything it takes and prepare as much as you can possibly prepare to be successful. Because if I truly try my hardest and I still fall short, I don't have anybody to blame but myself. Made me feel isolated, made me feel alone, made me feel scared. So Steve's conversation with me as a junior in college, first time I get benched, first moment of adversity, true adversity, and I get with this lesson of living from the inside out. That's what I want you guys to remember and write down if you have it. Living from the inside out, living in purpose, remembering that moment of love, of purpose, of pure joy, of ecstaticness, like just being in flow state, not having to pretend, no mask is on, you're just living your life. You're doing what you love to do, and you're doing it with the people that you love and care about. That's living from the inside out. That's sustained motivation. That's the willingness to wake up and get your feet on the ground and excited to go to work the next day. Because you have real, authentic relationships, you have accountability, and you're going on a path and a purpose, a vision that you can see, and you can't wait to get there. But you love every step of it along the way, the good and the bad, the hard and the easy. It's all a part of it. Living from the inside out. That's living in purpose. It's separate than outside in, trying to get the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees, trying to get the touchdowns, trying to get the stats, trying to get whatever notoriety or respect or recognition that could possibly be there for you. Because as soon as you grab it, whether you get it or not, you might feel great, you might feel these emotions, but you got to wake up the next day and you got to show up to work. And if you're acting based on emotions of feeling good because you accomplished something, there's always going to be something else you got to go accomplish. And that rat race, living from the outside in, that's not on purpose. That's not inside out. And that's the first lesson I learned as a junior. in college. But now I have to go apply it. Now I have to do the work. I'm benched. I'm a backup fullback at the University of Wisconsin that basically hasn't played in 2 years. And I got to figure out how to get back to this NFL thing. So, okay, I'm going to dive into it, Steve. I'm going to be okay with this mirror. Matter of fact, this mirror that I see every single morning is my senior year now, and I have to go chase this thing. I'm looking up these draft stocks. I'm nowhere to be found. I have to make a change. I have to embrace that. I have to intentionally decide to do something different at the University of Wisconsin to make this NFL happen. I'm going to put my goals, my daily decisions, what I'm going to do every single day, what I'm committed to, what I can control, and I'm going to put it in my bathroom mirror. I'm going to tape it up there, so when I'm brushing my teeth and I'm looking myself in the eyes, I'm going to see those goals and that commitment. And I'm going to be the best me. No longer am I trying to chase those recognition, that outside in. I'm going to be the best version of myself. I'm truly going to commit to this process, no matter how long it takes, to become an NFL football player. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes in order, day by day by day. I'm willing to stack it up. I'm willing to fall short. I'm willing to look a little silly along the way, knowing that I gave myself the best possible chance to get that goal at the top of the piece of paper, which was the NFL. We all have goals in life. Everybody has something that you want to accomplish. Living from the inside out, being willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm willing to chase this thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, in order to get that, and I'm going to bring people along with me. Whew. That's powerful. That's being the best version of yourself. That's living in that flow state. That's living from the inside out. So every single day, summer, it's about 5:30 in the morning, Madison, Wisconsin, beautiful lakes, beautiful college, beautiful scenery. And you all know the yellow flashing lights at the intersections before anybody gets up, real nice and early. Maybe it's really late if you're coming home from the bars, or you can see them on the street. I was on my moped every morning on the way to work, on the way to practice, seeing those yellow flashing lights. And for whatever reason, that just gave me an insane amount of pride. Knowing that I was going to be there, and I was going to be as consistent as those yellow flashing lights were going to be at 5:30 in the morning. I was showing up to the weight room, willing to give more than I've ever given in order to accomplish something I haven't accomplished. The first day, strength coach looks at me funny. You good, Alec? You need anything? Coach, I'm just here a little early. I'm just trying to give my best today. Say, all right, it's a little new, but okay. You get those conversations, you get the laughs, you get the jokes, you're putting yourself out there. You're changing. That makes other people uncomfortable. What's Alec doing? Oh, now he's a senior, he's going to try hard? Oh, that'll be cute. That'll work for what? Week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe? Try 3 months. Try 3 months, showing up every single day and giving your authentic best effort. No excuses, living from the inside out, being the best version of yourself. Not for your teammates, not for your coaches, not for any recognition, but to just see how great you can be. I was willing to bite that bullet. I went through that entire summer, that entire training camp. Yeah, the laughs were funny the first day, the first week. They weren't showing up on the first month. They weren't there on the second month. Those laughs turned into questions. Hey, Alec, what time do you get in? What are you doing to stretch? How are you getting so much faster? The consistency, the relentlessness, the approach, the grind, all those hard things that we all have to go through in life. The willingness to do it and be the best version of yourself. So I'm preparing this whole summer, this whole training camp for the first game of the season. We're excited. We're playing Western Kentucky. It's going to be a blowout game. I get a couple catches, a couple end arounds. We're making plays as a team. We win that game. Great, good, thumbs up. After those cupcake games, though, we get a tight night game at Iowa, Kinnick Stadium. You know the wave that everybody does? We did the wave down 7 in a trophy game, Big Ten West. Primetime Fox is on, the lights are on, and we're on the ropes. We're ranked top 10 in the country at this point. We've already been on the ropes a couple times. How do you respond? You can't control the circumstances of life, but you can control your response to it. So we get in this huddle. My name gets called. I hit a nice little end around catch over the shoulder, set up Jonathan Taylor touchdown. It's a tie game. We're going into the fourth quarter. There's about 4 minutes left. We have the ball on the 30-yard line. And if we just get a little bit closer to field goal range, if we just get one more first down, it's going to be a game winner. Coach dials my number up again. Hey, we need number 45. They're never going to be thinking this. We're going to do a little end around, a little reverse. Everyone's bought in. Everyone knows that preparation. It's accountable. The team is together. We're in this flow state, in this moment. Kinnick Stadium, game is on the line, trophy's on the line, Big Ten West. We hit that end around. I get around that corner, 30 yards to the house. I got to wave all those Iowa fans home. We'll take the pig with us. Now, those are those moments, right, of the recognition, the accolades. It makes you feel good, right, those results. But what happens the next day? What happens after you make that touchdown? What happens after you make that sale? What happens after you bring that trophy home with you? Got to work the next day. When I went to work the next day, there's a Steelers scout in the meeting room. How does he take notes? Is he going to class? Is he a leader? Is he doing things the right way? All of a sudden, he follows us out to practice. How does he practice? What are his habits like? Now, if I wasn't preparing, if I wasn't being the best version of myself in those moments, as soon as somebody starts analyzing, evaluating every step you do, I'd be uncomfortable. But I was cool with it. It's all good. Watch. I'm being the best version of myself. I'm in this flow state. I'm accountable teammate. All this vision, this goal of the NFL, it doesn't add any pressure to me. That's external. Your opinion, your expectations, that's external. I'm living internal. I'm living from the inside out. I've looked myself in the mirror. I've made eye contact. I've committed to this. I'm willing to move forward. Live from the inside out, not the outside in. And I'm going to be the best version of myself. So as these scouts are writing these notes and people are interviewing, you come in and out of meetings, the entire time internally, it was be the best you. Be the best you. So touchdowns would happen, wins would happen, losses would happen, adversity of a season, nicks and bruises, ankle injuries, it didn't matter. Those were all external circumstances. It was always about be the best you, be the best you, be the best you. We get to a moment where it's a trophy game, and this is going to be my second piece of what I want you guys to remember. We had a leader on our team named Chris Orr, and he gave the best pregame speeches, the best ones. And there's one that I want to share with you all today. We're about halfway through this meeting. I feel like we could all use some juice. It's like we're in the locker room, about to play Minnesota for the Axe. We've had it 22 straight years. We're at home. Chris Orr locks the locker room door. No cameras. And he says, fellas, there's going to be a fight tonight at Camp Randall Stadium, at our home. There's going to be a fight. Someone comes into your home, and they start a fight with you. There's a few different ways you can respond to that situation. Yeah, if they start fighting physically, right? Hands are thrown. You can maybe throw a couple back, protect yourself. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to break it up. Everyone's going to go their own ways. Maybe it escalates, whatever. He's like, that's not what we're going to do tonight. Tonight, somebody comes into our house to start a fight with us. We're locking the front door. And they can't leave until we tell them they can leave. You're going to approach this adversity, this mission, this game, this fight that's going to happen. And as a football player, it's physical, but in the world, it can be any sort of altercation, confrontation that happens in your life. Locking the door, committing to yourself. So we're going to be humble savages. What does that mean? Humble, like a servant leader, right? We're going to serve the people around us. I'm going to play fullback for the best possible ability so that Jonathan Taylor can trust me. I'm going to do everything I can to communicate to that offensive line so that they can do their job and they can count on me to do my job. That servant. You're doing things for the people around you. You're uplifting people, but you're also a little bit of a savage. You're also willing to communicate the way you need to, directly. You're able to lead. You're able to be that guy. You're able to execute because of the preparation, because of the work, because of the stairs, because of all of those dark days that you've had to go through. Chris Orr said, let's be a bunch of humble savages tonight. I'm going to translate that from a football term and say, let's be a bunch of servant leaders. Number 2, be a servant leader. Serve those people around you. Give without the intent to receive. Communicate with the people honestly, authentically. When you're learning, man, be humble. Approach it like we can't wait to learn and grow and be better for the people around us. But at that same time, that leadership, that word right there, you got to execute. You got to be that man in the arena. You got to be that woman in the arena. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. That execution, we went out there, we had a lot of energy, we ended up falling short. We lost. Lost the axe for the first time in 22 years, I want to say. My senior class was the one to lose it. Andrew Van Ginkel and I still talk about it to this day in the NFL, one of the biggest regrets we have. But we put ourselves out there. We gave ourselves the best possible chance to succeed, and that wasn't our time. Which brings me to my third point. You have to be willing to fail. Failure is a minute little, it's a scary word that everyone says, right? Like failure is eternal, it's forever. No, it's not. I could fail up here today on this speech. And you know what? Tomorrow I could shake a hand and try and get better and learn a lesson from it and improve and grow and use it towards that fullest potential. Be the best version of yourself. I can fail on a play. I can miss a block. You know what? I get a little reset button, I get to clap my hands, and the people around me trust that I'm going to give my best effort and intention the very next play. Failure isn't forever. But a lot of people are afraid to fail. And if you can put a formula together, living from that inside out, being that servant leader, maybe a humble savage if you want to use that term, failing isn't forever. You're able to put yourself out there, have the courage, have the self-confidence to put yourself out there, but still be self-critical enough to reflect and analyze and make sure we're moving forward. We end that senior season, and man, I'm really excited to go into the NFL draft. I am the only fullback invited to the NFL Combine, only fullback invited to the Senior Bowl. I'm expected to go to the 5th round. Looking at that signing bonus, I went car shopping with my pops, looking at the BMWs and Mercedes right down in Appleton, that whole Champions Row or whatever they call it. I was all over that, Audis, everything. Couldn't wait. It's the end of April. Really excited to be able to go through this process. The draft is here, and that same house that I had that draft party, the same house that I was on my father's shoulders, learning how to love the game of football in Swamico, Wisconsin, that's where we had half the town over. We're willing to, this whole village of Swamico is there to watch the kid from Green Bay have his dreams come true. So excited. We had a big camera right in the corner of our living room, right over there, had a big little red light on it, and as soon as I got that call, you were going to see me on ESPN. Whole family excited, everyone cheering, jumping around. Man, it was an exciting moment. This is where all the dreams, all this hard work had paid off. This is the moment. This was that dream at the top of the piece of paper that I saw every single day for months on end. It was here. It's a Saturday. We're having people over. Draft coverage starts at 1 o'clock. It's going to go about 4 hours. We're excited. We got the little pot roast going. We got, all the food, the drinks. Everyone's excited. I'm sitting in the corner of this chair, and I am so nervous I cannot move. The phone's here. The remote is there. I'm just locked into this place. Other people are moving around talking. I am locked in on this TV. I cannot wait to get drafted. This is finally here. I'm not going to miss it. So for you guys that may or may not know, the NFL draft, it starts on day 3. It starts in round 4. So round 4 comes and goes. I don't get any calls, but I wasn't really selected to go there anyways. I was ready for round 5 or later. Middle of round 5 pops up, and I get a phone call. Orchard Park, New York. I'm like, I have no idea where this is, but I am answering it. I'm muting this TV. Like, hello? Like, hey, Alec, this is Brian Daboll from the Buffalo Bills. Just wanted to give you a call, let you know we loved you throughout this entire process. We got a couple picks in the 6th round. I'm doing the best I possibly can to move up and get you. If you get this number again from Orchard Park, it's the Buffalo Bills. We want to pick you soon. We're just working through some logistics. Keep your phone on you. I'm like, all right, coach. I just thought this was a call, but okay. I trust you. I'll see you in a little bit. Hang up the phone, turn back the TV. I'm like, guys, I didn't get picked. I thought I got picked. It was just the Bills, whatever. 6th round comes and goes. No more calls. I'm like, okay. I still got the 7th round. There's a lot of picks. We're still going to approach this thing the right way. I'm sitting on this couch for about 3 hours now. I get a call from Nashville, Tennessee. Tennessee Titans pick up. Hey, Alec, we loved you in the draft, in this whole process. We're on the table for you, but we might be looking at a preferred free agent situation. We might not have enough picks. I was like, oh, it's okay. The Bills are going to call me in a little bit. Don't worry about it. And he's like, all right, sounds good. Hang up the phone. 6th round comes, 7th round comes, goes. I didn't get drafted. For 4 hours, I stared there at the TV watching everybody else live out their life, their dreams. And that kid from Green Bay, Wisconsin, that fell in love with the game right in that yard, watching those lights over the trees, that kid got his heart broken. 32 NFL general managers, head coaches said, "You're not good enough. We don't want to invest in you. You failed." Thankfully, I get a call from John Gruden, who was with the Oakland Raiders at the time. Rich Bisaccia, who's now the special teams coordinator here at Green Bay, was also on the phone, and they offered me a shot to try out. "We're going to give you a shot." I said, "That's all I need, Coach. That's all good. Appreciate you." As the last pick of the draft was being read, I was able to announce to a room just like this, "I know I didn't get drafted, but I got an opportunity to be in the NFL. I'm going to be an Oakland Raider." Everyone cheers. Everyone is excited. Everyone's clapping their hands. It was a really cool moment, like picturesque. I can still see it to this day. My heart's broken. My wife's heart's broken. And a few other people and a few other family members that really knew what that meant. It meant you're an undrafted fullback in the NFL. You're going to get 3 cups of coffee in the NFL, and then they're going to cut you, and you're going to be right back here. You better figure out your plan B. You can't control what happens to you in life, but you can control your response to it, right? So I know these lessons. Live from the inside out. I'm going to be a humble savage. And that third thing was this last commitment that I made right before heading out. I'm not afraid to fail. I wasn't. I just took a shot to the chin from 32 head coaches and general managers, saying basically, "You're not good enough." And you know how I internalize that? It's like my birth father telling me, "You're not good enough, son." That's how it hit. That's how it hurt. But the willingness to not fail, to dust yourself off and say, "You know what? I'm going to put myself out there. There's this glimmer of an opportunity, this chance. I'm going to be self-confident enough to be courageous, to run through that thing, run to that opportunity, and do everything I possibly can to make it worth it. And if I fall short, it's all good. I know I gave it my best effort." So now I'm in the NFL, right? I get to fly out to Oakland, Alameda, California, a little bit later for rookie mini camp, staying at the glorious Hampton Inn and Suites for the next 4 months. I know a lot of people are living on the road. You know that continental breakfast, the little waffle iron, that I can smell a Hampton Inn and Suites coffee from a mile away. I know exactly what it smells like. It was glorious. Didn't have a car, wasn't able to go down to Appleton to get my little whip because, I didn't get a signing bonus. That's okay. It didn't matter. What I did was I taped a whole new goal sheet right up on my mirror, just like I did my senior year. I had learned lessons along the way. Some things worked, some things didn't. But I wasn't afraid to fail anymore. I was willing to put myself out there. So when I'm benching and I'm putting as much weight on the bar as possible, and a vet comes over to me and says, "Alec, my man, why are you trying so hard? You know you're going to get cut in 2 months." And I don't have a good answer for him because that's the exact reality that happens to 99% of those guys. Say, yeah, I laugh it off. But in the back of my head, I know that intentionality, that effort, it's going to pay off one day. The opportunities aren't here now, but I know and I trust and I believe when that opportunity comes, I'll be ready for it. During practices in the offseason, we have 2 fields. Field 1, all the starters, head coach, coordinators, all the 53-man. Field 2, all the backups, the Alec Ingolds of the world, the assistant coaches, all on Field 2, doing the same plays as Field 1, but no one really cares about Field 2. We're just kind of out there. We're just kind of bodies. We're just ready to service the starters during training camp. That's really what it is. But every once in a while, there would be a wide receiver who would make an insane one-handed catch on Field 2, and it would catch a coach's eye. And he'd be like, "Ooh, that was sick. Marcel, come on over here. Let's get you on Field 1. And as soon as Marcel would get on Field 1, he'd run the wrong way to block the safety when he was supposed to block the cornerback, and then he'd be back over with me on Field 2. That was the reality of the situation. We're all being evaluated every single day. Made a lot of people uncomfortable. But I was starting to scheme it up now. These scripts that we were getting, I realized, we're running the same exact plays on Field 1 as Field 2. So if I understand what the running back's doing, and I understand my job, and we communicate, and I'm working through this, and I'm leading in this small little way, I'm preparing for my opportunity. So for 4 months, I'm grinding. We're not making any mistakes, result-oriented, not afraid to fail, living from the inside out, being that humble savage. 4 months, I never get an opportunity to go over to Field 1. That's all right. We head up to training camp in Napa Valley. Hard Knocks is joining. Antonio Brown is floating in from his hot air balloon in Napa Valley. I showed up in all of my Oakland Raider gear, ready for work, Coach. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And I get a phone call. Hey, our starting fullback, he just tore his meniscus. He's going to be out for 3 weeks. Are you going to be ready for Field 1 tomorrow? Do I need to get somebody else? That was literally the call to greatness right there. In that moment, I was so excited because I knew all this preparation, all the living from the inside out, all that humble savage, all the sacrificing the fear of failure was for that call right there. I said, Coach, I cannot wait to get on Field 1. I can't wait to show you what I've been up to. You're able to be the best version of yourself in that opportunity. You're ready to make the most of it. If you get that call and you haven't been prepared, you're not living on the inside out, you're not being that humble savage, you're afraid to fail, you might be getting in that playbook a little bit extra. You might be a little nervous for who you're about to block the very next day. Because that very next day I had Vontaze Burfict, 265 pounds, that has been kicked out of the league for hitting people too hard, was the defensive captain for our Raiders at the time. And that's the guy I get to go up and block every single day. How am I going to lead? How am I going to respond to this situation? I'm going to hit him as hard as I can. I'm going to set the tone. He said, okay, Rook, that was cute. We'll see how you're feeling a couple weeks from now. I'm like, man, I feel great, man. It's like, what do you think? It's my first day on Field 1. I'm excited. I forgot that the rookies had to carry all the helmets. We had to lift before practices while all the vets got to wait after, so we didn't get as much sleep. Couldn't use the cold tubs, couldn't use the facilities, and I was sharing a locker with somebody that was getting cut every other day. That constant reminder that this is not for long. The NFL stands for not for long. 2 weeks go by. The fullback, the undrafted fullback, leads the team in catches for the first preseason game. It's kind of like that moment at Iowa where we ice the game, feeling great about yourself. Well, what happens the next day? You get to go block Vontaze Burfict, who didn't have to play because he's a starter and he's going to make the team. How are you going to respond, Rook? Constantly we're faced with these decisions. I decided I'm going to let this man get everything I possibly have. Authentically, vulnerably, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm going to put myself out there, and I blocked the crap out of him. And the funny thing was, he didn't really talk very much the second time because he knew that I knew that I could block him. And if we both knew that, there was probably a general manager or a head coach that probably knows that too. Week 3 of the preseason comes up. We have a preseason game in Canada against the Packers. The wildest situation ever. It was an 80-yard field because they have like the field goal posts like in the middle of the field. It was a mess. Dr. McKenzie was like all over that. He's like, no, we are not playing on this field. It's not safe to play. Other people were like, okay, we're just going to shorten the field, whatever. This whole circumstance is going on in the background before we travel up to Winnipeg. And I call my running back coach, like, hey, I need to sit down with you. So Kirby and I sit down. I say, you know what? My parents want to see their son play in the NFL one time. This is going to be the closest game to them. I know it's in Canada, but they got their passports ready. We're up in Wisconsin. Like, will I play? I need to figure out, like, my whole situation. They got their tickets ready. And he said, Alec, I'm going to tell you this. Tell your parents to cancel their flight up to Canada and rebook it for Week 1 Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos because you're our starting fullback. You did it. I got to walk out of that meeting. We're in Oakland, Alameda, California. I'm walking back to the Hampton Inn and Suites to get myself a nice cup of coffee. I was able to call my wife. I was able to call my parents and say, I did it. I did it. It didn't look like it was supposed to look. The opportunity there looked crazy, but I learned the lessons I needed to learn to execute in the moment I needed to execute, to lead in the way I needed to lead, to live the way I needed to live, from the inside out, like a humble savage. And I'm not afraid to fail anymore. And now I could come to you today and be like, man, I made it to the NFL. This is all great. Yeah, 3 years later, I tear an ACL after being named the team captain, Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for a different team, at the top of the pinnacle And in a matter of seconds, my head coach gets fired, general manager's on the hot seat, I can't walk, and all this uncertainty is around me. And it's like, how do you respond to this situation? You're at the mountaintop. You're the #1 fullback in the world. You're doing everything great. You're the leader. You're the team captain. And life hands you another opportunity to say, did you really learn those lessons of living from the inside out, of being that servant leader, of not being afraid to fail? So after all of that, I decided to write a book on my rehab journey to commit to myself and give the people that I care about and the people that want to learn the opportunity to see a kid from Green Bay, Wisconsin that learned all of these lessons growing up, from Bayport to Wisconsin to getting married to playing for the Raiders, to have all of that stripped away and deciding I'll be a better man, a better fullback, a better leader after this injury than before, and here's how I'm going to do it. And I wrote it while I was on the rehab table, coming back, not knowing what that opportunity was. Finished writing it before I ever had anything to do with the Miami Dolphins. And it's out there for everybody to learn and grow so that you guys can become the best version of yourselves. Learn the life lessons that I've learned and apply it to you, to your kids, to other athletes, to become the best version of yourself in your own way, to overcome that fear and create your own formula. So with that, I appreciate everybody's time. I have saved about 13 minutes for a little Q&A. So I appreciate everyone's time. This is a little keynote, but I do want to open the floor to any questions because we covered a ton there. Appreciate y'all. Yep. We got a question in the back? Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Terry Blackwell from Colorado Springs, Colorado. What do you say to a young man who was this close to going into the league?
Mm-hmm.
That young man is my son. What would you say to him?
What's the word of advice to your son who is this close to having his dreams come true? Is that putting that effort and intentionality to chase that dream, that was the lesson. That was the journey. That's what it was all about. Whether you succeed or fail on this journey to make it to the NFL or not, you learn those lessons, you take those wins, you improve, you find something else to be passionate and purposeful with. And that becomes the opportunity that was meant for you, right? Like the vulnerability and the courage it takes to truly chase something like the NFL, like a big scary goal, like a big scary dream, even if you fall short, even if 32 head coaches or general managers tell you you're not good enough, there's going to be a way to find purpose and live from the inside out because of the lessons you've learned along the way. That's what I would share to your son.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Yeah.
Can you speak to some of the influences in your early years that gave you the grit, that was the foundations for the grit that got you into the NFL?
I was a wrestler growing up. My father was an All-American in college, so I took my first steps on a wrestling mat. And I was blessed with the opportunity to, my junior year in high school, I was met with a guy named Andy Kasich. And he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, won the Pan Am Games multiple times, national champion wrestler, and he's coming up and beating the crap out of this cocky 17-year-old high school kid over at Bayport. And he really introduced, when you talk about grit and determination, like that was somebody that taught me the importance of preparing. And throughout those hardships in wrestling, I don't wrestle anymore, but I'm able to take those lessons that Kasich taught me in high school about, man, I'm going to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to feel uncomfortable whether it is in the board meeting or it's the preparation leading up to the board meeting. The feeling uncomfortable part, that's 100% non-negotiable. We all will feel uncomfortable. Your choice is where you feel that discomfort. Is it in the preparation phase? Is it in the practice room? Is it on the practice field? Because you're working so hard and pressing so hard to become the best version of yourself? Or are you going to feel uncomfortable when the lights are on? And to understand and learn that lesson at a young age in a different sport, with a different group of people, in different circumstances where I'm pushed to the absolute limit of brokenness, of I can't even move my arms and legs anymore because I'm exhausted, and for him to pick myself back up and be like, hey, this is where we feel the discomfort. We're going to push through this. We're going to commit to something. We're going to chase this growth in the practice room so you don't feel that discomfort in the playing field. That's one story that I will never forget, and I think is extremely important, and it'll carry sectors. It carries through every part of life. Yep. Sorry, one behind you, and then we'll get to you.
I'm not going to say my name. I just want to say, first of all, thank you for expressing and acknowledging your love for Jesus Christ. And what are some ways that you showed your faith throughout these trials and throughout, as far as living in a world that there's a lot of influences and things to deal with and fight through?
Yeah, I think staying rooted is extremely important. I was reading a daily devotional with my wife. We had like a little morning routine. And at the end of the introduction, it was like talking about the phrase of Jesus, take the wheel, and how we all kind of need to sacrifice that and just have faith. And the book of Ecclesiastes basically says, man, you didn't have a wheel to start with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have a wheel to start with, brother. So I think being able to have those daily disciplines, being able to actively reach out for that, having vulnerability and like the courage just to share what you're believing in, I think those are all steps in my faith that I'm constantly trying to work towards. I think there's something to be said about balancing self-growth with self-grace, giving yourself that grace, knowing that you have been forgiven and we are not worthy of that grace, but God's going to give it to you anyway. So those are a lot of the life lessons that I enjoy holding on to. Yeah. I think about that all the time. I think that this is a place that I want to live in purpose and in leadership and being able to speak testimonies and live that through experience and then be able to share those life lessons. Like, I'm very new at this, right? Being able to speak, to write, all of that stuff, but I do think it's so important. And I think it's important work to be able to share each other's testimonies, to create space where people feel vulnerable enough to share their truths and to be able to say, you know what, I don't know all the answers, but let's go find out together, right? Like those are the types of experiences and spaces that I want to be able to create and share space with other like-minded individuals on. Any other questions? Yeah.
So as I mentioned, fellow University of Wisconsin graduate, I think I've seen all of your games.
Yep.
I also have a 13-year-old son. So talk about leadership within the locker room. Apply that to leadership among your peers. If someone wants to be led, how do you show up in that way, in a way that resonates with your peers?
That's a great question. Peer leadership is probably one of the toughest ones to master because it's ever evolving, it's ever changing. The peers, especially in the NFL locker room, you're changing in and out. 33% of our locker room changes every single year. And it's like, how do you have the bandwidth to meet all these new people and reintroduce yourself to all these new people and truly build authentic relationships with all these new people? But I think those are some of those conversations and people in a locker room with your peers. It's this value of like shared suffering. We're all going through the same experiences together. And being able to be vulnerable enough to share how you're feeling with other people, and they can take it or leave it, but you get around enough people where you are sharing those experiences, those shared sufferings, you're able to relate with one another, you're able to build some accountability towards trust and goals. I think that's the best part of peer leadership is truly asking somebody in your locker room, in your workspace, like, what's your why? What's your purpose? What gets you going? I had a roommate my rookie year, and he wanted to go to the Hall of Fame. That was his goal. That was his purpose. He wants to be the best in the world at what he does, right? And ends up tearing an ACL. A couple years later, he's on the road to recovery, and we're all working out together. There's only like 4 of us in this gym. And we're pushing through. There's 4 quarters of, I don't know, you guys know what prowler sleds are? They're like these big metal sleds that all these guys will push, and then we'll pull it. So we had to go 20 yards down, take off a huge plate, 40 more yards, take off another huge plate, 60 yards. So we had to go 120 yards, basically the full length of a football field and some. We had to do it 4 times. And my roommate, who had shared with me vulnerably, like our purpose, that he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame, he's in this rehab process, right, with his knee. And he's not feeling 100%, so only does 3 of the 4. And some of the guys are hassling him, right? It's the off season. You really don't have to, but like we're all here. We're keeping each other accountable. This is pure leadership. And because we had that authentic conversation of his purpose, all I had to say was gold jacket, baby. You want that gold jacket? And he just smiled at me. He got on that sled and we finished. And we finished together. So like pure leadership is a lot about having those tough conversations on purpose and knowing what to say to people when you need to say it. It doesn't have to be a big you-rah-rah speech in the middle of a locker room. It can be a gold jacket conversation or a little comment to keep everybody accountable. Got time for like 2 more questions if we got them. No more. Oh, we got one. One last one. We'll finish strong.
One of our favorite parts of the book is iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And I was just going to ask you to expand on that.
Okay. So in the book, I talk about the difference between confrontations and altercations. A confrontation is 2 people having a conversation, right? You're going face to face. You're really not doing much. In football terms, when I'm a running back and I'm in pass protection, I'm protecting Tua in his blind side. There are different types of pass rushers that come through, right? A smaller cornerback, he might want a confrontation. He might want to see if I like picked up on him, but he really doesn't want that smoke, right? He doesn't want to have that collision. He wants to cover people. So that might just be a confrontation. Now, if Rashawn Gary is coming around the edge, he might want an altercation. He might want to test me. He might want to see what I'm all about. Even if we're going face to face, that's the difference between a confrontation and an altercation, physically demanding, taking everything out of you. In the book, we talk about iron sharpens iron. In that preparation phase, you can control the types of altercations you're having in a prep phase with an Andy Kasich in a wrestling room. That's an altercation. That is hard work. That is truly digging deep and figuring out what you're really made of. And that could be physical, but also when Steve held up that mirror to me and asked me to reflect and taught me how to live inside out, that's like emotionally, that's an altercation where you're truly trying to dig down and figure out who you are, why you do what you do. So altercations in life, I truly feel like if you can control those, if you can work towards those, can help you develop in that safe space of discomfort rather than having that discomfort when the lights are all on. So that's where I feel like the importance is of altercations in life, and that's the metaphor we use is iron sharpening iron, right? You're hitting iron against one another. That's how it sharpens one another. It's not about rubbing it together real nice little confrontation. It takes hard work, grit, determination. Awesome. Thank you, guys.